The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at Gruns.co. That's code podcast at GRUNS.co.
Modern life is complicated. Good thing the things that make us happiest remain refreshingly simple. And more than anywhere else, they're found in Costa Rica. Here, you can connect with nature and with each other. Thrill your senses and your sense of adventure. Recharge your inner spark. Find balance between the natural world and modern life. And feel yourself feeling like yourself again. Costa Rica. Life's essentials found here at visitcostarica.com.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. We're starting off with a Twitter question. Bill asks, today, is it better to be a Wild fan or a Lightning fan?
I would say a Lightning fan.
Even after being crushed? I mean, Wild fans at least kind of knew what was coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Lightning fans have been absolutely stunned by this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess today it might be better.
That's the question.
Okay. Today, then it might be better. I was going to say, but tomorrow and next week... the week after and the month after and the years after. It is. I mean, it's stunning. But I'll tell you, just watching from the second period of game one on, the Columbus Blue Jackets just checked the shit out of that team. Sorry, Brandon. They just checked the heck out of them. And in a lot of ways, it's the same way that the Islanders have done it against the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? I mean, a little different the way that the Islanders played. I mean, the Penguins could not penetrate the middle of the offensive zone, which is what we saw when the Wild played the Islanders twice this season. I mean, if you remember late in the season, Wild lost a game where they played quite well against the Islanders, and I think the Islanders blocked like 25 shots that game. The Wild just could not get shots through, and that's the structure that Barry Trotz brings to that team. And to get back to your question on Columbus, I mean, they just checked the heck out of them, and they are a hardworking team that I think we all forget. We're looking at them as like this little, untalented team that had no right to be on the ice with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, that team even before the trades of adding guys like Duchesne and Zengel and those guys, Josh Anderson, Bjorkstrand, who's from here, by the way, Panarin, these guys have been, yeah. I mean, these guys have been on fire. Bjorkstrand's just been sensational. And that's a guy that I'm telling you could have been had by the Wild and many teams in trades for a long while. And it looked like he was a guy, the prototypical John Tortorella doghouse guy, not the grittiest guy, super skilled, not the biggest guy. So Tortorella usually kind of picks on those guys. Bjorkstrand dealt with it and is now absolutely been unbelievable. Josh Anderson, remember he held out a couple years ago? Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. And then obviously you get Panarin and Bob playing the way that they are. They're big and strong and well-oiled on their back end. I mean, that team, suddenly you look at them now with the acquisitions that they've made, and they are really good. Now, what did the Tampa Bay Lightning do about this? I would say the first thing they need to do is take a deep breath and then sit down and figure this out. But I don't think that you take a team that won 62 games and 128 points and tear it up over the disappointment of this. It should be an eye-opener that their players should realize that they're not the greatest thing in the history of the world on the ice, and that you can't just go and step your foot on the ice and expect to win in the playoffs against any team. But I don't think that they should break it apart. Now, they've got to sign Braden Point. I think that makes suddenly a couple trades in the offing. If I'm Paul Fenton, I'd probably give Julien BriseBois a couple days. But if I'm Paul Fenton, tomorrow, the next day, I call about Tyler Johnson and start planting that seed right now, because he's a right shot, hardworking, very skilled winger that the Wild, by the way, had a chance of signing years ago, and just circumstance. It's just unfortunate that the Wild never got that done, and I don't blame him for it. I mean, the story there, if you remember, is that they brought him into camp and they loved him with Spurgeon as junior teammate, and then they bring him back for Traverse City, and I think it was like his first shift of the first game in Traverse City, he tears up his shoulder. So the Wild, at the end of that camp, they sign Spurgeon, but say to Tyler Johnson, who understandably, I mean, he's got a shoulder injury, hey, go back to junior, have a big year, and we'll revisit this next summer. Well, what happens? He goes back to junior, gets like 100 and something points, and now all of a sudden, this little skilled guy that only the Wild seem to know about has Detroit, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Minnesota come calling, and he signs with Yzerman. What's really, again, coincidental about that is, remember, Yzerman almost was the Wild GM. He had a chance to be it. He was offered the job before Chuck Fletcher. So I know we've gone off to a totally different
That's the way the show
here.
works. I say hello. Michael talks for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I will introduce the show. This is the Russo-Souhan Show, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. This show continues to gain in popularity, huge listener numbers. Thanks to all of our listeners, and thanks to Michael.
We're the most popular thing in town. We've been doing this. We're at like 200 episodes
But now we're like, hey, let's use the sports league today. Now we're 110%.
Okay, cool.
We're winning at 100%.
Yeah, I work hard on this.
He's Michael Russo from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. Thanks to our sponsors, Twill and the Edina Galleria, Fixology Repair, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent from Champlin, and Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. You know what? Let's go ahead and thank Twill right away. They've been sponsoring this program for a long time, and the network for a long time.
I like that shirt you're wearing.
This is not a...
Okay.
Dang it. This is not a Twill shirt.
Okay.
This is a casual shirt that I'm just going to wear,
Well, you're going to San Diego today.
I'm going to San Diego, but I did pack like 8 Twill shirts for my trip. So there's Stenstrom shirts I wore at the Final Four, the Peter Millar and Johnny O shirts I've been wearing, hitting golf balls. So you can go really nice, you can go really casual, and still nice. Twill in the Edina Galleria.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
So back to my rant.
Now that you're, please
so back
go.
to what Julien BriseBois. I wouldn't overreact to this. Now, on the other hand, Pittsburgh, I think, will overreact to this. First of all, Jim Rutherford, he's 70-something years old. I believe he's 70-something years old. God, I hope he is. Let me look this up now.
Younger than Sid is the only reference point you
he's
need.
never been the most patient man, and I think he's going to look at this and say, all right, after grinding all season long to get in the playoffs and then to not even make a whimper, and you know what the other thing is to me that was interesting about let's see, Jim is, hang on. 70. Okay, now I don't feel so bad.
You are on.
Yep. He's got like a little 8-year-old son too. I met him earlier this
God
season.
bless him.
He's such a great guy. I knew his parents down in Florida. So I've been tight with him for a long time. But he's not a patient guy, and I think after grinding all year long to even make the playoffs, I think this is a totally different thing than what's going on with Tampa. Tampa's window is still wide open. Where Pittsburgh, he might look at it and say it's closing. They did not have a good season. Then they get in the playoffs and don't even make a whimper. And it's almost, to me, an alarm bell that it looked like this team that is well versed on what it takes to go 4 playoff rounds every single spring and summer, didn't have it in them to put forth the battle and the compete and the effort and the energy to go and they look like they didn't want to be on the same ice at different times because it was so hard to play that way. And that, to me, is a big-time concern for that team. And this is after he made a big trade to add Bukestad, and you got those guys. So what's next? Well, I think Phil Kessel's probably on his way out. And right away, I know Wild fans who were like, well, we need a right shot right wing. I'd still be careful. $8 million a year, he's getting up there. Yes, he's the type of guy that's going to win you some hockey games with one shot. I still just, to me, I would investigate before I go the Kessel route, especially because of the money. I would try to take advantage of some of these cap-strapped teams like Tampa Bay and Toronto and see if you can make a home run type deal for young guys like Johnson or Kapanen or Nylander. Although Nylander to me still is a concern. And then the other thing is I do think he's going to look at Malkin. Malkin didn't look like he had it this whole tournament, 4-game little playoff spurt. And I don't know if he was dealing with an injury or what, but it just didn't look like the same dominant player that to me in the past. So I think that Pittsburgh's the team I could see Jim Rutherford, who's done it in the past, him pull some blockbusters. Where Tampa, I think they need to take a breath. They're going to have to make some trades if they're going to get Braden Point signed. But I don't think that this is like tear it up type thing. Remember, they were a lot of injuries. Hedman was not himself and then eventually couldn't even play. But very shocking outcome for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Is Kessel right now about the same as Vanek when he played for the Wild, or is he better?
No, I think he's different. First of all, Kessel can still skate.
Yeah.
And there's the thing with Kessel that's interesting is that the opposite of Vanek is sometimes Vanek gets accused of kind of not caring just because of the way he skates on the ice and things like that, where I don't think that's factual. I think that he cares. Where Kessel gets easily frustrated because he wants to win so badly. And, Kessel's always been kind of that turbulent figure because I think that he's the type of guy that doesn't give a crap what the media and fans think of him. He's just about winning and his teammates and things like that. I think he's probably a very misunderstood guy because of his outward appearance when dealing with the media. And that's just the way he is. I think I've told this story before. I remember going in the 2006 Stanley Cup final. I was covering Carolina, Edmonton for the Star Tribune. And I was up in Edmonton and they introduced guys like Kessel and Eric Johnson. And I was doing a big story on them for the Strib at the time because they were going to be top picks in that upcoming draft. And obviously Johnson went number 1. And so I interviewed Kessel, and it was the most uncomfortable 5 minutes one-on-one in my life. I was sweating at the end of it. And I'm an experienced journalist at this point still. I'd been 15 years in the business, 10 covering the NHL, but he makes you. It was like I couldn't get anything out of him, and it was like, holy mackerel. I just talked to Mark Wallman. He was expecting this Phil Kessel takeout, and thank God I think I got his dad on the phone and it at least turned into a story. But and I remember talking to Johnson's dad for that story too, and Johnson's parents are awesome, Eric Johnson's parents. So they kind of wrote the story. I think I just kind of focused more on Johnson, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was he's just that way. But I don't I don't think he's a jerk. I don't know if he's shy or what it is. But I think that his outward appearance when dealing with the public has created this fallacy that he's just malcontent cancer, and I don't think that's the case.
Interesting. Hey, let's thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com, third floor of the Mall of America, downtown by what will soon not be called the Wells Fargo Center, but it's right across from the Dunn Brothers in the Crown Bank building. Check them out. Watches, listen to the ad. They can do a lot of cool stuff for you, including fix your watches and your devices.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
All right, you got another subject you want to get to on the playoffs?
No, I mean, the playoffs have been awesome so far. This Boston-Toronto series has been hardcore, fun to watch, nasty. Same thing with Vegas-San Jose. I mean, this Vegas is up 3-1 the series. It's going exactly the way I thought it would. The Vegas team is great. They are going to be in the Western Conference Final, I think. They have a second line, even though it's really their first line. They have a second line with Pacioretty, Stasny, and Stone. I mean, this is a second-year franchise. It's just crazy what they've been able to build there because of the rules and for that expansion and the money that they had. I mean, these are all acquisitions. They weren't expansion draft pickups, but it's just amazing to watch, and they're so good, and it's been nasty. And Evander Kane's losing his mind. Ryan Reeves having a field day, getting in that kid's head. Not kid anymore, but and they're struggling, and they're getting horrendous goaltending. Like Martin Jones, who had an .896 save percentage in the regular season, has a now goals against average of .680 in this series, and a save percentage in the low eights. He's been terrible, and this was my fear going into it. Somebody tweeted me, or I forget where I saw this, or maybe it was just. I saw it on Twitter. Like the Wild should call San Jose right now and trade Dubnyk straight up for Jones. And yeah, that could probably happen, but I would not do that. I mean, I'm sorry. I would not touch Martin Jones. He has been, Dubnyk has a bad month, it seems, every single year, and then has those spurts where he gives up bad goals, but his stats still overall are as good as anybody in the league. And he's the 24th or 5th number one paid goalie in the NHL. Martin Jones has been awful from day one of this hockey season. I would not even consider going after him.
Twitter question from Steve Stay. Is it possible for the Wild to leave town? No, they just re-upped with the XL Energy Center.
Yeah, until 2035.
I think they're staying.
The future's bright in 2035, I hear.
It'll still be our ice. Yeah. That's the key.
We'll be talking about Kaprizov's son getting ready to be drafted by the Wild, maybe.
From Lance Masshart, do you expect the Wild to put in offers to Duchesne and Panarin? How about Donskoy? Am I pronouncing it right? Donskoy. Is Kessel a trade target this summer?
Well, we just talked about Kessel, coincidentally. Donskoy is interesting. I mean, I've always liked him, but there's something about the fact that he hasn't scored in 35 games coming into the playoffs. He looked really good yesterday. He was probably their best player when he finally got in, but the fact that he was scratched the first 3 games of the playoffs is not a good sign. And it reminds me of Pontus Aberg. To me, you got to always assume as a GM that the other team has more information than you. So why was Aberg scratched like the last 12 or 13 games that he played in Anaheim for a guy that had 12 or 13 goals and was leading them in goal scoring? Randy Carlyle might be cantankerous and a bit of a nut job, but he's not an idiot.
No.
The fact that he took their leading goal scorer at the time and benched him for 12-something games says something not just probably about his on-ice play, but his off-ice character. And that's what we saw here. And same thing with Donskoy. Not that I'm putting him in that category, but it's just so strange to me that he's not in the lineup. Now, Minnesota's a very different team than San Jose. San Jose, Donskoy is a pretty skilled guy, and maybe just in that top 6 or top 7 or 8, that maybe Peter DeBoer just felt like he did not fit, that the pegs didn't work. And so maybe he comes here and he's a different player. But I do think that it makes sense that he's a target, a right shot, skilled forward, and the Wild need that. So the Wild, I just think, should do their due diligence if they're going to go after him. In terms of Duchesne and Panarin, look, the Wild are kind of stacked, and I'm not talking about talent, but they're full sort of up front at center. And I just did a thing yesterday on who could stay, who could go, and I took their depth chart and I just showed that, like we're all talking about, they got all this money to splash around this summer. Well, they've got to get rid of some bodies to be able to even do that. And we saw last year it was not easy at the summertime for Paul to make a trade. And so I don't think it's a guarantee that they're going to go after these guys. Duchesne makes a lot of sense to me, just because the Wild, the one thing they lack of all their centers is that true number one guy. But I do think that there's character issues there. And look, Panarin is not coming here. I mean, he's just not. Go after him. You have nothing to lose. Try to get him in here. But he knows, like he and Bob didn't sign in Bobrovsky didn't sign in Columbus for a specific reason. They know where they're going. I think it's South Florida. As I wrote on Twitter the other day, it's pretty coincidental that Quenneville's the guy that nicknamed him the bread man.
Yeah.
And I don't think Quenneville chooses Florida unless he knows what's going on. So I think Panarin just fired his agent, who's Kaprizov's agent, and hired Bobrovsky's agent. I mean, it's obvious. So I just don't see. Sure, go after him. You have nothing to lose if you can get him. My God. But I just don't see it happening.
Thanks to Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent champion. Hoaglund handles my insurance, handles Michael's insurance. He also now is providing financial services. Hoaglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlaininsurance.com.
From Andrew Siljan, assuming the team is largely the same as it was to end the past year, what do you foresee the Wild doing to create a better in-game experience for the fans? The on-ice product was brutal to watch at home this past season.
You know what people that give financial services should do to get somebody is like give you free money to start. Like, when you go to when you're in Vegas and like, hey, come see our timeshare and we'll give you like $300 in play chips for the craps table. That's what financial people.
There you go, Tony.
Yeah.
Michael wants to be paid for that advice.
Yes.
As well as being paid up front.
Whoa, there we go. Almost fell.
You're fired up today, man.
Yeah, well, this
Michael
is my 18th
almost
coffee.
Fell down.
No, it just looked like I was almost.
Oh, yeah, it only looked like he was about to fall down. Just like it only looked like you broke a glass and got iced glass shards everywhere last time we did a show.
I did.
Are you healthy now? Do you have any wounds?
No, I'm healthy. Well, health is a relative term. I went to my dentist appointment the other day, and the dental hygienist raved about my blood pressure.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you get a 50% discount on your blood pressure or something like that?
She's like, oh, very good.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, see, healthy.
By the way, you never answered that last question. Do you want to answer?
What was the question? Sorry,
I don't remember. It was about the better in-game experience of fans. What can the Wild do?
Well,
goal scoring would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's goal scoring. The fans want to be entertained, but I've said it a couple times. And look, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but I do think they could do a much better job with their game ups. I just think that the infomercial before the game and during the intermissions is just it's not what you see in any other arena, and there's a reason for it. It doesn't get fans fired up to hear about the 50% off in the hockey lodge. So that's just my opinion there. And I mean the I don't know, the T-shirt guy. It's like there's just so many better ways to pump up fans.
I will make this observation, and I'm not trying to make this a personal thing. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but there's the new phenomenon where everybody has their own in-house announcer and little show between periods. And you see it at NBA games, too. Good Lord, can we have a moment where you can talk to the person next to you? Where you can you have a moment where...
See, and I'm like, this is maybe the different in generation.
Okay.
I'm not talking... I'm talking make it fun, loud, and electric.
But what I'm saying is it fun to sit and watch basically a talk show?
No, I'm saying have something different.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying, quiet it down so you can have a conversation about the stock tips.
Here's the thing.
Stuff.
Having a bad talk show on between periods is the worst. Now, I could go with... let it be quiet, you actually be there to watch the hockey, or I could go with Vegas-style entertainment. But don't give me a bad talk show between periods.
The reason why I'm laughing is I remember in Florida, the last 5 minutes of the game in Florida, which, money-wise, probably amongst the richest fans in the league, lower bowl. I mean, they're all snooty people from Boca Raton, or my hometown, and I was from a different part. You're not snooty, though. Yeah, I was from a different part of the train tracks.
That's the important distinction.
You get these these Boca and these Palm Beach people down there. The Donald Trumps of the world in the lower bowl, and all of a sudden, 5 minutes left, and the Panthers would always be in a 1-goal game. All of a sudden, you'd have these financial advisors come, these two guys. and they just go in there and tell you how the stock market's crashing and basically sell. And all of a sudden, it's like you see the lower bowl just like in depression mode, ready to jump off the building. And I'm like, and I remember once going to Michael Yormark, the team CEO, the president of the team. I'm like, is there a way that maybe what you should do is take that 5 minutes and put it like in the first period?
Right, depress them early.
In the last TV timeout of the game when you need the fans to be alive and electric, and you're telling them like, oh, your portfolio gone. You know that money you gave to us, it's a Ponzi scheme. Like, that type of stuff.
I can't remember what any of the questions were. This is awesome. Quickly, Bite Squad. If you go have lunch at your office and you can't get away, if you don't want to drive, if you don't want to park, if you don't have to pay for parking, if you don't want to wait in line, if you don't have to fight for a table, get great restaurant food delivered right to your door, ready to eat. Don't have to do dishes. You can pay right on the Bite Squad app. Download the Bite Squad app. Go to bitesquad.com. Use a promo code TALKNORTH for your first delivery free. But most of you probably already use that by now. Just use it because good company, great food. They support us, and we appreciate it.
Do they deliver coffee?
I actually think they would. Actually, I would. Why don't you try that out?
I got an email today from Bite Squad. They deliver breakfast now.
Yeah, they deliver everything.
Yeah.
You can get them to deliver a pint of ice cream if you want.
Boy, that's like the epitome of laziness when you can't even get up to go get your ice cream.
But why does it? What makes getting in your car and driving someplace and walking into a store not lazy? I mean,
I'm just saying, like, if you're going to eat a pint of ice cream for like 500 calories, you can at least expend about 40 by walking there.
Yeah, that's.
And
great.
I'm no one to talk, but
yeah, 40 calories will definitely alleviate.
Now you're down to 460.
This has been Math, brought to you by Michael Russo. From Trevor Cole, not a question but an observation, but after watching these teams perform at an elevated level, the Wild had no business being in the playoffs. These teams have skill at an excess, heart, grit, etc. Excited for the Wild to get there someday, but they aren't there now.
I said to Bruce the other day, I said, hey, no offense, but after watching Game 1 of the Calgary-Colorado series, Calgary would have beaten you in 3.
He knows. You think he doesn't know? From Eric Berg, any chance Leopold sends Fenton to a class or two on public and media relations?
They're working on it. They're working with him. They're trying. One way that he could probably help himself is not to sit there and like an entire presser, sit there and take little slap shots at me over my reporting. I mean, my favorite one was that the day that they fired Shep, and he fired Shep and Bruno, and he said, first of all, to correct the report, they weren't fired. They weren't renewed. Well, first of all, they were told not to come back in the building the next 2.5 months while their contract's up, so they're fired. But the other one is, so I reported that day that Chris O'Hearn was going to be the guy that replaced Shep Harder, and he had to correct that in there. I have feelers out. No, he was already hired.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't report stuff if it's not accurate, and he was already hired, and today they announced him. So it's like...
It's a bad look.
It is. I mean, it just makes yourself... I mean, look, I'm not trying to, on every single show, rip on Paul, but man, I've never dealt with a GM that is so worried about every single thing that I'm writing and reporting.
It's just insecurity.
And it's creating a bit of an issue here. And so I do think they are trying to work with him on that. Because look, it's like I said to him in Dallas. I'm like, Paul, next season is going to be my 25th covering the NHL. This stuff is not coming from inside your organization. It's the fact if you're hiring Chris O'Hearn, I'm getting that from other places because other people are aware of it. And that's just you develop relationships in this and develop sources, and people are just you get information by making calls. And maybe maybe the fact that I have no life allows me.
It's a bonus.
It's a bonus for the Athletic subscribers. So come to us, our beat writer. All he thinks about is cares about his campaign. But I mean, it's like just driving to do this podcast. It's a half hour in the car. I got nothing to do. So what do? I just start calling people. Just for. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing? Congratulations on your playoff win. And next thing you know, you learn something. I mean, I've done that forever. There is never a point where I'm just like, it's funny. Before the trade deadline, I put that stupid thing that you get on the iPhone. It tells you your screen time, and mine was like at 14 hours. And it's probably a little ridiculous, but it is. It's me just sitting there and constantly texting and talking and probably refreshing Twitter about 1,000 times. So, What were you saying?
I have no idea.
But no, I mean, look, again, I'm not. This would be, that one was just.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because I was a beat writer for a while too. I was a pro beat writer for about 9-10 years, and one thing people like Fenton have to realize is the average length of a GM staying with one team is probably 3 or 4 years before you get fired. I mean, some get fired after 2, some might stay for 6, but it's 3, 4, 5 years, right? Somewhere in that ballpark.
GMs you hope is longer because you got to give them time to develop their plan.
Let's look upper end of the spectrum. Let's say 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be still reporting on the league and reporting on him and reporting on what happened in his tenure for the next 30 years.
Oh, God.
What a dumb... Well, seriously, what a dumb move.
Are you trying to make me run in traffic right now?
What a dumb move, though, to tick off the people who are... going to be writing your history.
Are you telling me that I'm going to be covering the Minnesota Wild for the next 30 years?
If you're lucky.
Thanks I was in such a great mood.
That's why you come here.
So anyway, but look, and I'll work through this with him, but he's got to understand, like, I have a job to do, and I've never dealt with somebody that is so, like, he spends half his day trying to figure out who the leaks are. And it scares the shit out of me because, sorry, Brandon, because people are literally getting fired over this.
Right.
And then they're getting fired and I'm still breaking the stories. So it's like all of a sudden he's realizing they weren't the leaks.
Right.
And it's just absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I shouldn't be saying this stuff. That some stuff needs to be kept in house, but definitely that Twitter person definitely hit on something, a little nerve right now.
As a great philosopher once said, paranoia will destroy you.
Yeah, it absolutely will. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to be paranoid about everything and to not trust your inner circle and to. It's going to be a very short career. I mean, it's just there's so many other stresses that he's got about this job that he should worry about than me, and the other thing that I just don't get is that, like, why, and this again is just probably talking too much, but God knows I do it.
Hadn't noticed.
Yeah, but like I just don't understand, like, why new GMs or coaches don't try to develop that relationship with the writers. I mean, and not just me. I'm not the only one that covers this team. It's just like, you think that. If you think that I have an influence on this town, that you want to sit there and at least have a relationship with that person so that person understands what you're doing. And I've told this story before, and again, it's too much, but it's like when he claimed Boteto off waivers and you sent him a text, hey, can you give me a scouting report on the guy? Can you tell me why you did this? And if you don't get a response, now you're allowing me license to just say what I think. Well, where the other way, you're just at least saying, look, this is why I did it. I really like this guy for this reason. That's the way it should be. But I think, I don't know if it's the Patriots fan in him that just thinks everything should be just, but it's not going to work. I mean, It's not. So,
timely question from our friend Bill, who comes out to the live shows. Fenton's rushed.
Oh, no more. No, please, let's not.
Okay,
get it done.
Sorry, Bill. Time out.
Fenton stuff. I'm already saying too much.
He's using his one timeout from Alec. Hypothetical Kaprizov question, Russo's favorite. Wondering if Kaprizov was let out of his contract and signed with the Wild, would be eligible for Iowa in the AHL playoffs.
It's just really funny. I mean, it's like I've never been more excited for a Kaprizov question. That's what we got to. But I mean, to get back to whatever that question was, it's like, look, I am not trying to create this issue. Like the Fenton stuff. I'm just trying to tell you what's going on. That type of stuff. So
by the way, I appreciate you supplying sound effects for the show, too. Drumming on the tabletop, smacking your coffee cup.
Well, I need a new coffee.
Apparently. We'll do a couple more minutes. We'll let you get your coffee.
So, Kaprizov, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Let me just think that through real quick. Would he be eligible for Iowa? He would have had to been on Iowa's clear day list, which I know they don't call it that, on first of all, he's not going to come here to play for Iowa. If the Wild ever put him in Des Moines, he'll be back in Siberia before he's.
I think that answers the question.
But to answer your question, I don't think he could. I mean, that was the whole thing with getting Donato Cunnin and Greenway down on their roster pre-trade deadline is that you have to make sure that they're on their what used to be called their clear day list after the trade deadline to be eligible for the AHL playoffs. So I don't think now if the Wild were in the playoffs, he absolutely would be eligible because he's on their reserve list, but not Iowa.
A couple more questions. We're not going to get to many of these questions because Michael had his rants, and we value his rants, and that's what the show's about. From Adam Jones, bring back the North Stars? No. From Kyler Vosforet, assuming Fenton trades Zucker and Fenton's propensity for hockey trades, would you be mad at Zucker for Kessel?
I mean, yeah. I think you got to go bigger for that. I mean, Kessel's up there in age now. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my own feeling on whether or not they should go after Kessel, but I just think, one thing I will say is I think Fenton thinks too much of hockey trades where he doesn't think about other periphery pieces. And, I just think that if you're going to trade guys like Spurgeon, Zucker, I mean, my issue with the other trades with Fiala and Nino is I just don't get the whole 1-for-1 thing. I mean, I just don't get it. The goal is to actually pillage the other team, not to sit there and this is a fair hockey deal. And not to again piss off Paul, but that Fiala for Granlund trade was not a fair hockey deal. Okay, frankly, from what I'm told is that the Wild almost gave up more and almost actually, retained salary in that type of deal, and which is insane to think about. And so, maybe the whole 1-for-1 thing is like I'm getting tired of. But I just think if you're going to take a young 27-year-old like Zucker with the speed that he has and being drafted 4 years after Kessel, I just think you got to get more.
Let's do one more.
But I mean, production-wise, I guess it really depends is where this management group thinks Kessel's ceiling still is, because I just don't think that he's a 40-50 goal guy anymore. Maybe I'm totally, wrong and just playing off what I see from this postseason, which was disappointing for them.
We're going to try to keep our studio shows around half an hour in the off season, so we're not going to get to a lot of the Twitter questions. We do appreciate them. We're hope to have a live venue announced soon where you can come out and ask them face to face.
Maybe I should go through Twitter and see if anything I like.
You should. From Bert Carter, any hot buyout rumors around the league and subsequent interest by the Wild?
Not that I know of. I mean, Victor Rask was going to be bought out, according to sources.
From R.D. Jones, does Zucker potentially have more or less value now than he did at the trade deadline?
I mean, you would think more because now theoretically, Paul could talk to all the non-playoff teams, where before the non-playoff teams probably had very little interest in Zucker.
All right, you got any questions there you want to answer?
I'm just kind of breezing through here.
I'll ask one more while you're waiting. From Zach Spicer, what hot take from the Twitter GMs has made you roll your eyes the hardest this offseason?
Probably Marner. I just don't. I mean, the reason why guys like Nylander and Kapanen are going to be available is because they are not going to let Marner go. Marner is the heartbeat of that team. I mean, we all talk about Tavares and Matthews. Who was blocking the shots, the last two shots against the Bruins the other night? I mean, that kid, he's unbelievable. And Kyle Dubas is one of the smartest young people I've ever met in the game. He's not dumb. They're going to get Marner done, and they're going to get Matthews done, or they got Matthews done, and then and that is going to probably lead to either Kapanen or Nylander being subject to either trade or even an offer sheet.
Michael needs coffee. We're going to let him go get coffee. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks
I got a final thought.
Oh, we got a final thought.
What do you think of the Masters?
It was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I've been doing a column since 2005. I've been at Star Tribune since 1990. And, I just think back the last 3 months. I got to cover a Super Bowl, spring training, first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, an NCAA tournament regional, a Final Four, and the Masters. I mean, I'm pretty damn lucky.
Yeah. I am fascinated about the Masters on the whole. What it showed me about this story is how, fans, Twitter, all of us, it's like you love the ceiling, the guy that's on top, then takes a complete plummet to the bottom and then bring it back up. It's just hilarious to me how everybody was just rooting for Tiger.
I know.
And just and forgetting all the just weirdness of the last decade.
And I probably got carried away with that a bit too. It's like I don't I don't whitewash what he did, and I don't necessarily forgive or forget. But in the moment, to see somebody just drag their butt from being embarrassed and out of the game and not able to function with their back, not be able to swing a golf club, to winning the Masters against a great field, I mean, that's whatever you think of Tiger, that is an amazing story.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely unreal, and again, like the fact that like it was only 2 years ago that he was, the thing on the bridge down, but the one with that, the mug shot, and where he was at mentally and physically, and whatever was going on that night, and the fact that he has turned his career back to this point so quickly, it's pretty unreal. I do have one question. Captain Caveman asks, Russo, you're a pretty honest writer, and you have to be able to you have to be professional, cultivate, protect relationships. Are you willing to talk about examples when you've stepped on toes on a player who's addressed it with you? That is the job. I mean, I've told the story about Burnsy and Ray Whitney before, and having to kind of have that conversation with them that, like, look, you're going to have to take the good with the bad, and that means if you're going to score an overtime winner one night, I'm going to be there and have to write it. But if you're going to turn the puck over for an overtime losing goal one night, I have to write that too, and it happened. It happened in a Wild game where I said that to Burns, and then the exact same thing happened where he screwed up, and I wrote it, and then all of a sudden a week later he scored one of his 5 overtime winners for the Wild, and he came up to me and goes, "All right, now I see what you mean." And that is the job. But this whole job, like if fans knew the fires that you got to put out on an everyday basis, especially in my new role, because look, at The Athletic, which is probably what is stepping on people's toes, that I have license to be opinionated, that is what they want. I mean, our job is technically not to write the quote unquote game stories, although I do it very differently than every other person at our publication, because Wild fans have shown that they kind of still expect the post-game stories from me. I remember earlier this season, I wrote this story about Parisi and Suter working with Neil Sheehy and how it's kind of helped them. And it was the game that Zucker had an unbelievable game. I think he might have even scored an overtime winner. And I wrote this story on Suter and Parisi as my postgame. And I left the arena at like 3:30 in the morning. I was so proud of it. And I wake up the next morning and it's like, yeah, great story. Where the F's the gamer? And I actually got up because I was so upset. I got up at after getting home at 4 a.m., I got up at 7 and wrote a game story, because it's like everybody just yeah, where's the freaking story on the game? So, it just, every time you write something, and trust me, I mean, if it's the same thing, it's not just Paul. I mean, Chuck and Brent and I had it out on a gazillion things. I covered Mike Keenan, it was constant with him. So that's just the job, which is pretty stressful. And that's why I take it extremely seriously when fans sit there and call me a homer, or some jackass yesterday I saw said that all I write is what management wants me to write.
Oh my God.
You have to be completely
stupid you have to be to
out
think
of
that.
touch to think if that I write what management writes. You have to be completely moronic. So I have to go back and block that guy. That's my final thought.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, savings coming at ya, savings coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see your practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer. That's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.